Hello there, adventurers, and welcome to Wally DM. Today we're going to take a look at rolling a natural 20, comparing it to the critical hit chart that you may have come up with yourself, or going by the rules in the Pathfinder Core Rulebook. Today we're going to look at the critical hit. Honestly, I have to admit, I'm not too sure when the critical hit came about. Um, I've been playing D&D since the early 1980s, and I believe it was in my early teenage years in the 80s that I was introduced to the concept that if a player rolled a 20 in combat, that that player would score double damage. Now, I don't remember if I read that in a magazine or a book, or if it was introduced to me by another player or another DM at the time. But after I introduced it into my game, my players loved it. They realized that if they rolled a 20, that something really good was going to happen for them in combat. And it usually for them happened at an opportune time where they needed some help defeating a monster or something. Now, first, I'd like to go over what the Pathfinder Core Rulebook has as far as a critical hit is concerned. It is on page 184, where it is under the combat section, and they described a critical hit as a natural 20. And after a player rolls a natural 20 in combat, then they have to roll to hit again. And they add all their normal modifiers, and if that second roll would equal a hit on that creature, then that initial first roll was a critical hit. Now, according to the Pathfinder Rulebook, a critical hit is usually 2 times the damage. And I believe that it states that the player would roll for damage and then roll for damage again. Now, the core rulebook does also go on to state that some weapons provide more than just 2 times the damage. It could be 3 or more, or something else. And those are detailed by weapon. But for the most part, in the Pathfinder rulebook, if a player rolls a natural 20, they roll again, adding their normal modifiers. If they hit again, then the first hit's a critical hit, and they get a roll for damage twice. Now, this is all fine and dandy for the Pathfinder rules, but I like to mix a lot of different things in my campaigns. And even though in 2016 we started using most of the Pathfinder rules, I'm going to go back to my D&D days as far as a critical hit is concerned. Now, as stated earlier, in the 80s, if my players would roll a 20, they got excited and knew that they were going to double their damage. So they would roll normal damage and we would double it. In the late 1990s, early 2000s, we expanded on that. That is when the internet first started coming about, and I had done a little bit of research and found critical hit tables. So a player would roll a 20, and then they would roll another die, usually another 20-sided die, and they would get a list of different effects. Now, a lot of the critical hit tables on the internet where you would cause maybe some extra damage and then maim a character, slicing off an arm or an attack form, or knocking them down where they wouldn't be able to attack the next form or the next round. I tweaked mine quite a bit to just emphasize a lot on damage, maybe something really cool. So when my players did get a critical hit, they rolled again, and it just create like an epic moment. So why do I include critical hit in my campaign? Well, honestly, my players enjoy it. They get excited. It's really cool to see them battling. Maybe they're battling this, a red dragon, and the red dragon's getting the best of them. It's grabbing them and throwing them around. It's already breathed fire on them once, and they're low on cure spells, and they're really getting desperate, and they just need that fighter or barbarian to come through and just deliver a killing blow, or a deliberating blow. And I've seen it before. My player would they'd roll 20, get excited about it. And then as a DM, I can also just, emphasize on that as well. Be like, your character reaches up, it feels the adrenaline and the power running through his veins, takes his sword and jabs it into the red dragon. something like that. I mean, just something, and and players absorb that, and they, it just creates the whole table just gets, they get charged up, and a lot of fun. So having an energized table during combat, and to see like a party down, and then a player rolling a 20, getting a critical hit, scoring double damage or more. I mean, it's intense, and it creates epic moments. I mean, you'd be sitting there having a beer later and just bring it up, say, "Hey, remember when my barbarian went in swinging and did this and did that?" And it just creates memories and moments that I like to see in my campaign. So as stated before, we are playing Pathfinder now, and I've kind of thrown out page 184. That's really not the way I like to run critical hits. Definitely nothing against it. I mean, it's a very fair and very good way to run them. But I had developed my own table in the late 90s, early 2000s, and I had put the game away for a while. And when I came back to the game, uh, and started playing Pathfinder in 2016, I moderated, changed my table up a little bit, and I'm pretty satisfied with the way it is now. I may tweak it a little bit more in the future, but I'm going to share it with you right now. I'm also going to provide a link to my critical hit table in the notes below. So if it's something that you'd like to reference later, feel free to do so. But for right now, let's take a look at what I'm currently using in my campaign. Okay, so this is a view of my blog page, wallyd.info. I will put the link to this in the notes below, but this is out there for anybody if they'd like to use it. And again, this is a critical hit chart. When my players roll a natural 20 during combat, they get to roll the 20-sided one more time, and when they do, something really cool gets to happen, and we're just going to go through these real quick. If they roll the 20-sided again and get a 1 through 2, they get double damage. That means they roll their normal damage and then they double it. And I've been doing that since I've been introduced to the critical hit in probably about the mid-1980s during my D&D days. Now, if they roll a 3, they get double damage plus a critical hit, which kind of combines some of the late 90s, early 2000s charts that I've seen in the past, where they get to roll a normal damage, they double it, and they also slice off an attack form or an extremity if the double damage itself did not kill the creature or the opponent. Number 4, if they roll a 4, they get double damage and gain 1 permanent hit point. I always look at it as the gods smile down on them and bless them with a little bit of hardiness. 5, they get double damage and they gain the monster's experience points value multiplied by 5. So some just beastly experience for them. On a 6, double damage plus inspiration. If you're familiar with the 5th edition D&D inspiration, then this is what I'm going for here. They get a token, and they can cash that token in at any time during the rest of the game night and re-roll one of their dies, also known as advantage. Number 7 there, double damage plus inspire courage. This I've taken similar to a bardic performance. Their hit is so impressive that they inspire their friends and their allies, and it gives them all a +1 benefit on their attack rolls and saving throws and what have you. And if they roll an 8, they get double damage plus advantage, which is a 5th edition rule, and this allows them to make 2 rolls instead of 1 and take the higher of the roll, and the length of time that this advantage occurs is up to the DM. I usually just make it last the length of the combat and go from there. If they roll a 9, they get double damage plus cause fear, where it makes the target paralyzed for 1d4 rounds, and also any opponents viewing this vicious attack by the character must also make a saving throw versus will or be paralyzed with fear for a certain amount of rounds. Number 10 is double damage plus life gain, where a character regains equivalent lost hit points. So if they've been down hit points from battling through an adventure, they roll a 10 on their double damage roll. They get not only cause double damage, but they just regenerate all these hit points. And if they're already at max, maybe they go temporary hit points. So if they're a 40 hit point character, they go up to 46 for a short period of time. or until the temporary hit points drop back down below their normal. 11 is one of my favorites from back in the day. Fatal blow. Opponent dies immediately. They don't even need to roll for damage. The opponent is just dead. Number 12 is maximum normal damage plus haste. The player is blessed with an additional standard or move action this turn. Number 13, maximum damage on all hits for a certain length of time. So every time they hit, they score maximum damage. No need to roll, maximum damage. Number 14, maximum normal damage plus 1 permanent hit point to a random, or I'm sorry, 1 permanent point to a random ability score. My players love this. I tell them that the gods or the immortals look down on them and bless them with maximum normal damage plus a random ability score goes up permanently by 1, and they just get really excited about this one. Number 15, maximum normal damage plus agility, giving the character a temporary bonus to their armor class. Number 16 is maximum normal damage plus an auto hit. So for a certain length of time determined by the DM or GM, they don't even need to roll an attack roll. They're going to auto hit every time. So characters just, players get pumped up about this. They just, pretty much go berserk. Number 17, maximum normal damage plus double damage. So just putting a buttload of damage into their swing. And again, some of these just may seem like we're just overdoing it, but it just creates epic moments, and the players love it. Remember that time when I did 50 points of damage to that dragon? And that's just the kind of thing that I'm going for in my campaigns. Number 18, maximum normal damage plus their entire strength ability score. So if maximum normal damage, let's say they're swinging with a sword plus their strength bonus, which is puts them at 11, and then add their strength. Say it's a 16 strength, so 11 plus 16. I mean, you've got 27 points of damage, and that's just a lot of damage to a target. Number 19, if they roll that, triple damage. So they roll their normal damage and triple it. And then one of my most fun ones, if they roll a 20, so they roll a natural 20 for a critical hit, and then they roll a 20 again, I let them roll the 10-sided die 10 times, and they just get excited. So, sit there and roll that and just count up the damage. And that's my critical hit chart, and like I said, just a lot of fun. It may seem a little bit of a lot as far as damage is concerned, but what I'm going for is just to create epic moments, and so far my chart's done that, so I hope you like it. So there you have it. There's my critical hit table that I had posted on my website. Now this is actually part 1 of a 2-part video I'd like to do, because I'd like to touch on critical fumbles or critical miss chart in my next video, and that area is a little bit more controversial, but we'll take a look at it and why I like to include both, and we'll also take a look at my critical fumble table that I have created. So that is all I have for today. That is my critical hit chart that I'm using for Pathfinder. What are your experiences with double damage, rolling a natural 20 during combat, using the Pathfinder rules for a critical hit, or maybe the homebrewed version, or a table that you found on the internet? Positive experiences, negative experiences? Throw a comment down below. Make sure to like and subscribe. We'll get to that critical fumble table in just a little bit. And until then, on to the next.